started to think, if I start to apply the principles of being lucid in a dream to being lucid here in the area of space that you're hearing this video in, situations seem to be different when I start doing this, and people seem to be different. You can control your reality almost sort of the same way as you can control your lucid dreams. It ends up that you control it in a different way than what you thought that you could. And I know that it's been a very long time since I've posted, but you know, I really just wanted to wait for something of really good quality substance to manifest, you know? I'm now realizing that I am taking the dream world too literally. I kept thinking that lucid dreaming is this profound thing in the sense that the characters in the dream world know information about this life that we don't know, and that if I pester them enough, they can give me some sorts of secrets and answers as to what happens when we die, or secrets and answers to this existence. Now, I do think that some dreams are very profound where this is true, where certain special entities intervene and do give pieces of information. But generally, the characters are pretty dumb, and the majority of them in the dream world are like nonsensical, and what they say is not reliable enough to draw concrete conclusions from. I still find the ability to lucid dream to be profound, but my new reason as to why that is so is because I'm realizing that it is not the material that I'm getting from the dream characters, it's the practice itself and how I am going about it. So basically, lucid dreaming is a practice, becoming lucid in the dream. It's not about what happens afterward, it's the ability to become lucid in that dream, something that you were completely falling for, and then you wake up and actively decide to do something different. That piece right there is the part that I should have been focusing on the whole time, but I actually was focusing on the aftermath of that and attacking my characters and trying to beat information out of them, basically. I started to think, if I start to apply the principles of being lucid in a dream to being lucid here in the area of space that you're hearing this video in, situations seem to be different when I start doing this, and people seem to be different. Dreams are plots. I really don't like it when people say very factual sentences like that. You know, I could say dreams are like plots, but I really am going to go out on a limb here and feel very strongly that dreams are plots. Almost every 5 minutes of your day can technically be considered a plot. Things can go wrong all of the time. If you stop yourself and say, this is a nightmare that I'm having, you can choose to disengage from what is happening to you that is causing you anxiety. When you start doing this, you notice patterns. Just the same as in the dream world, you notice patterns. Let's take this incident that I'm having at my new job. I am a receptionist, and I take verbal messages all day long and send these messages, I type them out to the correct person to their email account. With a new job, lots of plots are happening. Will people be nice to me, and will I make friends or enemies? Is a pretty universal plot when going to a new position. The girl that I am replacing left the job because some of the women were being very rude and mean towards her. I promise that I'm getting to the point, but in order to get to the point, I really have to honestly do a lot of background work. 2 months into my job, my very intimidating Miranda Priestley wannabe boss comes over to my desk and says that she's received 2 complaints about me today from the ladies there. She said that I typed the abbreviation MI for Mississippi when it should have been MS, and that I reversed 2 digits in a telephone number. Now, you can see where this is going. This is a bad dream plot that is starting to happen. This is the bad dream plot of my boss is acting like I'm stupid, and she's being very condescending of 2 mistakes that I've made in the last 2 months, which is just a statistical human error, but she's turning into a huge deal. My life's going to be terrible because of this one incident. It foreshadows a lot of future condescending things because this woman is just so And then it's also the bad dream of these ladies here don't like me, or else they would have just sent me the email back with the mistake and I could have easily fixed it without my boss having to get involved. She told me this right at 5 o'clock, so I left work very frazzled. I fell for it. I fell for the bad dream. I went home and I meditated on that. I treated the situation like a bad dream and wanted to see what the plot was happening in my life for and how I could go to work lucid tomorrow to turn things around. So I basically needed to do the opposite of what my bad dreams' intentions were for me to do, which was to become very defensive about my 2 minor mistakes in the last 2 months, and to now hate these 2 women for going directly to my boss about a frivolous error. The plot wanted me to think this is the reason why the other receptionist left, because these women here are ruthless. You can just feel that's the area that life wanted me to go. The dream wanted me to go that way. So when I become lucid in a bad dream, me talking about dreams now and not reality. So when I become lucid in a bad dream, I first acknowledge that this is a dream. Something is off, this is a dream. And then I try to change the dream to the best of my ability. So I decided to consciously do the opposite of what the real life dream creators planned for me to do. What I did is I forgave these women. I got rid of my defensiveness. I looked for reasons to love these women and to love my boss. And then I laughed at the situation and laughed at the fact that I fell for it and allowed for myself to become so upset and so unnerved about the correction and the way that it was done. I basically went to work the next day as if all of that did not happen. I acted as if what happened the day before was a bad dream. A dream that has no place in this reality, therefore no reason to bring it up at all and have it affect my waking life. Things have become interesting now that I have done this. I can see areas where if I would have acted this way, this is what would have happened. And now that I'm ignoring the plot and where it was supposed to take me, now these other things are happening instead. So here's how things are kind of happening in an interesting way. So when it comes to my boss trying to point out that I'm basically stupid, that's basically how she talks to me, every time she tries to correct me, every single time, something else happens in front of me that points out that she is not perfect either. When she said back to earlier, whenever I changed the abbreviations for Mississippi from MS to MI, it ended up when I went home and I calmed down and I looked up the proper abbreviation for MI. I remember that whenever she was correcting me, she said, MI is for Minnesota. And whenever I looked up after I calmed down what MI was for, it ends up MI is for Michigan. So as she was trying to correct me, she was wrong herself. It's okay that she's wrong. I'm not saying anything about her. I mean, it's like, it's totally okay that I'm wrong about things. It's totally okay that she's wrong about things. Let me just continue my point. Directly the next day, she wanted me to mail something overnight for her, some very important paperwork. But she wanted to check the packing label before I sent it, because she was insinuating that she could not trust me with numbers because I seem to screw up with switching numbers around, considering I technically do have dyslexia. So whenever I go to bring the package into her room to review, for her to put the papers into the package for me to officially go drop it off at FedEx, she can't find the very, very important papers. She looks all over her office, and it ends up that she had the papers in her shred box, waiting to be shredded. She says, "Wow, can't believe that just happened." And I just calmly said, it happened. She says, "Wow, can't believe that just happened." And I just calmly said, it happened. But taking into point that this situation happened in front of me, that she is also not perfect. She was trying to prove a point by making me go in there so she could double check my numbers, because she was trying to prove that I'm not perfect. And as she is trying to do this, a situation happens to make her my equal, to show that she is also not perfect. A couple of days later, she asks me to schedule a meeting on certain days of the week so that certain people could be interviewed. And whenever I sent her back the schedule with all the names, she scolded me for typing October 4th at 4 p.m. instead of October 1st at 4 p.m. And, she's just like, "What's the deal? Why do you keep doing this?" Just, it's just such a downer, And after making this huge deal about it and mumbling, etc. in her office, and me just staying calm, like, don't fall for the dream, this is her trying to do this thing, is trying to point out some insecurities that I have, and I'm not going to fall for it, it's whatever, I'll just change the schedule and send it back, and I forgive her, and I'm not going to fall for this dream. I can totally see the nightmare unfolding, and I'm just going to choose to do the opposite. And so as I'm remaining very chill and not falling for it, a couple of hours later, she says, "I messed up. We're not even going to be here on October 1st because that's Squirrel Day." So she had to go out of her way to make this special important day, and then I accidentally typed the wrong thing for this special important day, and she makes a huge deal about it. And then as I remained calm, it ends up that she was wrong from the beginning about having that day. I mean, I don't really know if you understand this. Let me just get to my next point so you can really understand this. The thing is that those mistakes did not have to happen in front of me. I can see that if I would have fell for the original plot of my boss thinks she's better than me and that she basks in the glory of never making mistakes herself, this reality that her and I are perceiving would have made it so. It would have been made so because I would have allowed for it to be so, because I would have fell for the plot. Let me put this in different words. If I fell for the plot that she never makes mistakes and that I'm the only one that looks like an idiot, the world would have made this to be true. All of my boss's mistakes would have been made in private and would have never been brought to my attention. But because I did not fall for the plot and consciously laughed at the situation and laughed at the person that she thought that she was, she's making loads of mistakes that are on the same level as mine, and she's making the mistakes right in front of me. I am affecting her reality. If she would become lucid as I am becoming, she could attempt to affect mine. In her reality, I could have given her power by reinforcing her beliefs that shape her view of me. But I changed this frequency. As for frequency in bad dreams that reoccur, this boss that I have reminds me so much of my last boss. I mean, they would be best freaking friends. And it's funny how you attract the same bad dream over and over again. The previous boss that I had that was like her, the previous boss would point out all of these mistakes that I would make, and I would never see her make a mistake. I mean, I knew she made hundreds of them. I mean, normal people do. But because I fell for the plot that I'm the new girl, I'm the only one that makes mistakes, this and that, and I guess it's okay for her to talk to me like this because she never makes mistakes herself. I fell for it. I took it so seriously, and my vibrations, frequency, reality, orchestrators, whatever, reinforced this belief and made this situation come true. Like I've said in my previous videos, the dreams that we have are tests to see if we pass or fail. They're tests to bring out things within ourselves that we didn't know were there. This is a dream. This is a test as well. These bad dreams, these situations, these patterns, if you really sit back and look at them, the same things basically happen to you over and over again until you start to acknowledge them and do something differently, until you start seeing this as a dream. And so that's why I'm going over this very tedious little story about my boss or whatever, because the previous boss was just like her, and I fell for the dream, and I would never see any sort of mistakes. This woman just kept wailing on me, constantly bringing me down, and I would let her bring me down. I let it happen, and then even more of those situations would happen. So as for the other two mean ladies at work, because I pretended that them snitching on me was just a really bad dream that I fell for, I continued to be very friendly and compassionate towards them, and therefore my view of them changed. I got to see the real them. If I would have fell for that bad dream, I would have applied preconceived notions to them. It would have blinded me from trying to understand them and seeing glimpses of their true selves and their true souls. I would have felt standoffish, which would have given them a bad vibe, and that would have made them not like me for a long-term period. I acknowledged that what they did was part of a plot, and I acknowledged how the plot was supposed to be, and then I changed it. I acknowledged that the girl that left, she had that same plot, and she fell for it, and it made her leave her job. And I said, I'm going to do the opposite. It's just, maybe I'm making this out. Until you do it, then you'll be more amazed. It's just little simple things. What also helps, of course, is my new beliefs, or are my new beliefs. Sorry, that was an incorrect sentence. I do believe that we are reincarnated, and I do believe that we have all met each other and planned to meet each other for many different reasons and sign contracts with each other to do certain things to each other, to be certain people to each other, etc. Everyone was meant to happen to you, and everything was meant to happen to you, and you attract certain things to happen to you. Just the same way as when something happens to you in your life, like my cat almost got outside the other day, which would have been bad because he would have ran away. Therefore, that night I had a dream about the cat being out. Like, I attracted that dream to happen. That fear was within me. Therefore, this future dream, happened. And I'm rambling now. I try to make this. Okay, I'm just gonna keep moving on. Everything that you long for and everything that you never got, you will receive when you wake up from this dream. Or you won't even care about when you wake up from this dream. You'll see how silly those things were that you wanted. Like, they're not even applicable anymore once you wake up from the dream. You won't even care. But if you still wanted it whenever you go back from the place to which we all came from, it could easily manifest. You're at a certain dimension where it could be so. Therefore, here, every time that you wish somebody knew how you felt about them, and you wish badly how they knew that they hurt you or whatever, when we all wake up, they will know. Or there's a higher self up there, like we're part of a higher self, and like a small separation of that soul is living this life right now. There is a part where that person does know. Since there is no time or anything like that, they already do know. We're just perceiving them not to know. So that's what really helps when you're falling for a bad dream in this waking life, because things seem so permanent and out of your control and can't let it go. And you get very caught up in it. If you believe the way I do, it's easier to separate yourself from the bad dream and laugh at it. I notice so many plots with small children now. I can't look at children the same way anymore. Such as my little 6-year-old cousin wanting to play with his mom and sister, but he wanted to play with a baseball, and that's too hard and dangerous for his 3-year-old little sister to catch and throw around. I see him deeply fall into a bad dream. The plots of this bad dream are, no one respects me, I can't have control of my reality, my mom loves my new sister more than me. I can see him fall hard and start crying and going into a tantrum. The only way that he knows how to change his reality is to physically try and see if his mom will change her mind. He doesn't realize he's falling for a bad dream and can easily step out of it and play with something else and forget all about it. It isn't really that he wants to play with the baseball. He knew that they couldn't play with the baseball even before he asked, because he's already been told that she's too young to play with that ball. Those plots and insecurities were already inside of him, and those plots and insecurities are already inside of us. It's just harder for us to realize because we feel like our situations are so much more serious than, why can't my sister play with this baseball because I said so? You know, our plots and insecurities are just so much more important, etc., and blah, 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 that they can't be bad dreams. They're real, and we can't just step away from them because they're real and they're concrete, etc., and they're not frivolous and silly that children pay attention to. We're just looking for ways to manifest the insecurity and plots that we have inside of us, and we give out those vibrations for the world to align to and manifest. When we actively see a manifested bad dream, try to screw up the vibrations. Try to do the opposite of what the dream orchestrators wanted you to do. Go home and meditate on those insecurities and hidden plots and deal with them so that they cannot be manifested. And if they are, you can be more well equipped to step back and do the opposite, to change it.